And let's tackle this next one where we are solving for x and we have a parentheses, but other than the parentheses, there's nothing else really that's going to be, stopping us from doing our best here. Because when I want to get rid of this parentheses, we can do that a couple of different ways, but I'll go with the simplest way. Simplest way for me is going to be distribution. I'll show you another way here at the end, but if I distribute, I'll be distributing to the 3x, and I'll be distributing to the 4. So if I do it that way, I'll have 6 times 3x, which turns out to be 18x, and then we have 6 times 4, which ends up being 24. We'll write everything else that we have. This is unaffected. That is not inside the parentheses. So unaffected plus 6 equals 786. Up next, one thing I notice is I can go ahead and combine some like terms. I have 24 plus 6. I'll bring those together. And so that makes it 18x plus 30 equals 786. And from here, although the numbers are larger, we're good. Just treat this like it's a regular two-step equation. So we'll continue by subtracting 30 on both sides. Cancels on the left, leaving me with 18x equals 756. From here, we can complete this with long division by dividing both sides by 18. And if I do that here, we have 18 going into 756. So first question is 18 going into 75. How many times does that happen? I would beg to guess perhaps that's going to be 4, maybe. Let's go ahead and try that out. Let's guess. 18 times 4, 8 times 4 is 32. 1 times 4 is 4, carry the 3 is 7. So yep, right there, that is going to be 4. And so we will subtract the 72, giving us 3 left over, and then we drop that 6. From here, we ask ourselves how many times 18 goes into 36, and that would be 2. 18 times 2 is 36. So we're good on that front. So there we are. We have ourselves x equals 42 as our final answer, and that's what would get us answer choice B. Now, if I wanted to show you again a potentially faster way to get this done, the only thing that this would save you time on is dealing with this pretty big, large, long division here. Let me show you the time that you'd be saving, which isn't much time at all in the grand scheme. So let's move this over here. And here's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and divide both sides by the 6 immediately. This 6 right here, I'm going to divide both sides. So I can choose to just write this as one big fraction, but I think we all know that if I did 1 plus 2 divided by, let's say, 5, everybody, that's the same as 1 divided by 5 plus 2 divided by 5. So I'm going to show you that exact principle in a moment. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that and just show both of them separately divided by 6. This is going to help us out. Let me just move this over here. This is going to help us out greatly because we're going to cancel out right there. The 6 divided by 6 right there turns into 1. So we have 3x plus 4 plus the 1 right here. And then we have 786 divided by 6. So we still have to do a bunch of long division, right? Still have to do a bunch of long division. And so if we do that, we're going to go ahead and just show it. 786. 6 goes into 7 once. Into 18 3 times. And into 6 once. So that becomes 131. And then we add these together to get 3x plus 5. Subtract the 5. And then divide by 3. And there it is. So, right, it can still be done using that method. We got the same correct answer, 42. But it really is up to you on whether or not you want to go with one method or another, because you have to be careful about following the proper rules. How to divide or multiply the entire side when you have multiple terms, way too important. But nonetheless, the correct answer here is B. All right, let's go ahead and tackle this problem here. Regardless of how easy it looks, let's make proper work of it. So here we go. First things first is we're going to identify what's going on with the x, because the one thing that I'm going to repeat in any video that you might hear me solving equations in is that we are working backwards. Solving equations is all about getting this variable all by itself. So with that, everybody, to work backwards, we identify that we see that we're adding 59 onto that x. And so working backwards looks like this. If I want to get just x by itself, because that is the goal at the end, what I really need to do is get rid of this. And getting rid of it means doing the opposite operation. I see plus 59, so I'll reverse those operations to subtract 59 on both sides, just like that. And so what that's going to give me on the left side is a cancellation, so I can get the x by itself, because again, that's what I wanted. And then when we take a look at 114 minus 59, we're going to have to do a little bit of borrowing. Borrow from the 1 to make it 14, and that's going to end in a 5. And then we have 10 minus 5 right there, 10, and that ends up being 5. So there we go. We have x equals 55, and that's pretty much it. We're done. If we wanted to check our work, all we need to do is take the original equation, x plus 59 equals 114, and we would go ahead and plug in that 55 for x. So that would be 55 plus 59. And yeah, indeed, that does equal 114, and we're all good. But there it is. Correct answer here is answer choice D, just working backwards, subtracting 59 from both sides. Let's tackle this next one up. So the first thing I'm going to say when it comes to solving equations, you're going to hear me say this a lot, it's we have to understand what's going on moving forward, so that way we can work backwards. Again, solving equations, it's the art of working backwards. So with that, let's take a look here. It says 8x minus 11 equals 13. So when we check out this equation here, we notice that our x is right there, but I also noticed that there are a couple of things in the way. We have the 8 in the way, and then we have this 11 in the way. So here's my big piece of advice. When you're solving equations, map out what's going forward. That way you know how to work backwards. So the first thing I'll go ahead and put a little box around is the first operation that would happen. Everybody, what's the first operation that would happen if I knew what x was? Multiply by 8 or subtract 11? Which one would technically happen first in the order of operations? Multiply by 8. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and just box that up. Boom. Boxing 8x in. And then after I figure out what 8x is, then we would be subtracting the 11. So working backwards from that state, let's work backwards. Let's do it. The opposite of subtracting 11 is going to be adding 11. Again, doing the opposite operation to cancel out on the side with the x. Boom, right there. There it is. Now we have 8x by itself equals 13 plus 11, which is 24. And so now the last thing that we need to do is get rid of the 8. The opposite of multiplying by 8 is dividing by 8 on both sides. Again, the language is so specific, but it's very important. That way, once we get to those more complicated questions, we can keep the same calm, cool, and collected demeanor there. But there we go. The 8 is gone, and we get x equals 3. Booyah. Correct answer here is answer choice A.